I spy with my little iPhone someone with a Photoshop app. Mahogany, put that thing down, or at least learn how to use it properly. Guys, it's here. It's that day, the day of reckoning, the day we finally see the ghost that is Mahogany, hereafter known as M-Hog. Ben has been non-stop texting her ever since he got to Peru. And bada bing, bada boom, don't you know it? The 56 times the charm. Finally, she could bear it no more. Ben's harassment forced her into appearing on 90 Day Fiancé. But when she finally revealed herself to the world, it has to be said, she looks significantly different from her photos. So guys, I knew it anyway. This whole relationship exists in Ben's head and Ben's head only. Mahogany doesn't want a bar of him, and I'm going to break down each and every time over this meal that she pushed him away, metaphorically and actually. So guys, let's get to it. Just before we do, thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel. I really do appreciate it. And also a massive thank you to everybody who's bothered to write comments. It really does give me food for thought when I'm putting my next video together, so thank you for that. And if you haven't done so yet, consider joining the Ebird family. Come on, it's fun over here. Press that big red subscribe button, make Ebird a happy Ebird, and then go and smash the like button. What else have you got to do? Thanks guys. And so without further ado, I give you Ben and Mahogany. So we pick up where we left off last week, with Ben sitting on his own in the restaurant. And guys, I was midway through an experiment, sample size 1, to see who was the biggest fool in that restaurant. Then all of a sudden, somebody walked in. Who the hell is that? Oh Lord, I think it's supposed to be Mahogany. Experiment postponed. And I'll let you know the results at the end of this video. Yes, I really couldn't believe it, as Ben sat there as lonely as a cloud. He interspersed his loneliness with moaning to production, and he said, I'm just going to wait here for Mahogany at the restaurant. After all, I don't have anywhere else to go. What? Ben, you told us just a couple of days ago that you had one night in the hotel in Lima, and then you booked into another hotel near to where Mahogany lives. Why the lies? Why? So Mahogany clippity-clopped in her mum's high heels, and Ben looked up from his phone where he was rage texting her, and he gave a massive broad grin. And then Mahogany tells production that she was very nervous and that she almost didn't come. What she really means is she was very uninterested and so she didn't want to come. But TLC had been on her back so much alongside Ben that she thought she'd better make an appearance. That's what she really means. And guys, this really did make me laugh because she said, since Ben came all the way to my town, I thought I'd better show up. Two things there, M-Hog. Firstly, what, so you didn't care that he'd come to your country? He'd flown from his country and gone all the way to Peru? That didn't move you, that didn't make you want to turn up. And secondly, you're about 2 hours late. Any normal human being would have left the restaurant after, say, 30 minutes. So you said, oh, I decided I'd better come. In other words, I decided to come at a time when I was virtually certain Ben would be gone and I'd never have to meet him. But unfortunate, unlucky me has picked the only little idiot off the whole of the internet that would wait around for 3 hours in a restaurant with nobody else in it. Ben's in a party of 2, him and David from David and Lana. Yep, Mahogany, you were real unlucky in your calculations there. Honestly guys, I'm still in a state of shock. When she walked in, I mistook her for the glass collector. And she sat down at the table and Ben said hi and she said hi. And Ben tells production that it's a magical moment. And he said, I'm so surprised she's a woman and I'm so glad she's beautiful. Really, Ben? Well, I guess she was until her 90-day trial of Photoshop expired. And he said everything came flooding back. The connection, both spiritual and cerebral. Guys, I'm going to have to talk more about this so-called connection at the end of the video, because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist. And so the couple sat down for what was to be one of the most banal conversations I think I've ever heard. She started out by saying, I'm so sorry. I should have come yesterday, but muy difícil. Apparently, it was very difficult for her to come to the airport. Well, I guess she does live 1.5 to 2 hours away. Maybe so. But by Jove, Ben doesn't want her apologies. No, he doesn't. He said, we won't talk about it anymore. Don't even think about it. Today's a new day. There's just no need for any apologies. But then Ben asked a $64 million question and he said to Mahogany, what do you think to Ben? And she went very quiet. She was very considered. She looked to the left and then to the right and she said, She said very carefully, muy diferente. He's very different. He looks very different according to Mahogany from his pictures. What? And then she tells production that he's less muscular than in his photos. How do you know? Because he's got a shirt on. And I have to say, we saw him in the gym at the hotel just the day before. And he looked fairly muscular to me. And also, Mahogany, you haven't seen his right bicep yet. It's been getting quite the workout. And far be it from the Ebird to ever stick up for Ben in any meaningful way, but I will say, it's the audacity for me. It's the audacity. How dare you? You look different. Mahogany, ring any bells? She really does have a very tenuous grip on reality. She attempted to pull it back by saying, well, different in a good way. But no, we know what you meant, Mahogany. We know what you meant. Guys, Mahogany looks nothing like her photos. And guys, I can't recall when I've seen such a marked difference. Oh, recall it I do. Rebecca! Remember Rebecca and Ziad? Yeah, Rebecca did a little bit of face tuning. Yeah, it's kind of not too far from that level. The pure delusion level. Anyway, back to these two young lovebirds, who, let's all remember, Ben tells us, have got everything in common. And talk turns not to politics, not to world affairs, not to matters of the heart, or anecdotes about their families. Talk turns to what their favourite food is. So Mahogany begins by saying, I absolutely love Italian food, all Italian food. In fact, it's my favourite. Ben nods his head vigorously and says, yes, I love pizza. And Mahogany says, oh, no, but not pizza. I hate pizza. I can't bear pizza. All Italian food, but not pizza. Oh Lord, with conversation as scintillating as this, those winter nights in Idaho are just going to fly by. But then something very strange and interesting happens, and I think this was by design from Mahogany. She said, do you like oatmeal? And Ben said, oatmeal? No, I don't like the texture. And she said, oh my God, I love oatmeal. Oatmeal's gorgeous. I eat it every day. Oatmeal's very important to me. Very important indeed. And first off, when I heard this, I thought, well, maybe she doesn't have anything to talk about, so she's just kind of, I don't know, chatting rubbish. But then it hit me. I think Mahogany's trying to point out to Ben their differences. He says, I like pizza. Oh no, not pizza, not pizza. And then she wanted to make a very big deal about the fact that oatmeal was very important to her, but not to him. I think she's subliminally trying to say, we're not meant to be, Ben. We're intrinsically different because I like oatmeal and you do not. I don't know what you guys think, but it was very strange to me how much emphasis she put on the whole oatmeal scenario. And they both eat a very dry and unappetizing looking empanada. And Ben decides to go in for the kill. He asks, Mahogany, why do you love me? And guys, there was a very long pregnant pause in which Mahogany imperceptibly, but I managed to see it, shook her head just slightly as if to say, I don't love you. Body language 101. And after some time she looked up to the left and said, I love you because you have an enormous heart and also a beautiful soul. But the main thing is because you love God. What? Lots of people love God. That's not a reason why you love somebody. Many despots and dictators over the years have loved God. It doesn't make them good people. Mahogany really struggled to come up with why she likes or loves Ben. And the truth be told, she doesn't know Ben. Why would she like Ben? He's a 52-year-old weirdo with 4 kids who's texting a 22, yes 22, not 24-year-old in Peru. And so finally, the most boring meal of all time comes to an end and they leave the restaurant. And Mahogany tells production that she feels that Ben loves her much more than she loves him. And he sees more in this relationship than she does. Well, that wouldn't be hard, M-Hog. You don't see anything to this relationship. You could barely be bothered to turn up. But it's what happened outside that really put the icing on the cake for this relationship for me. So Mahogany was about to get into her car and she was trying to open the door and get in quickly. Ben said, I need to hug you. And she said, what? He said, I need to hug you. And she extremely reluctantly turned around and gave him a hug. And as he was enveloping her in a big warm bear hug, she barely raised her arms and tapped his back. Her body language quite clearly said, Ben, you're touching me. What have I told you about touching me? And by this point, even Ben noticed. And we end the segment with Ben saying he's noticed that Mahogany's somewhat different, but he still thinks that he's going to marry her one day. And that's where we end things for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, I think it's fair to suggest this relationship's going nowhere fast. Ben thought he was going to get the love of his life, and instead he got 3 glasses of water, a very long wait, and a dry-ass empanada. So before I start this breakdown, just a little bit of gossip. It turns out that Mahogany is in fact 22 and not 24. According to Mahogany, she never lied about her age to Ben, and she says it was Ben who tweaked her age to 24. I believe her, and for this reason. Of the kids that we've seen of Ben's, the eldest child was 20, but there's one older girl who doesn't want any part of this shit show. I don't blame her. But I guarantee she's either 21 or more than likely 22, so he didn't ever want to have Mahogany be the same age as his oldest child. The optics are just bad. And you know, Ben said that Mahogany wanted to help him parent his children. How can you parent someone that's the same age as you? He really is delusional. So, just as I promised earlier, here are all the reasons why I think Mahogany is no longer interested in Ben, if she ever was. So the first thing I noticed was that Mahogany turned up by car. And remember just last week when she advised Ben that it's a 1.5 hour drive from Lima Airport to where she lives? She could have at least picked him up. Why didn't she pick him up? Because she had no intention of meeting him. She didn't care how much Ben was going to pay on a taxi fare, or in fact how much he'd wasted on flight money thus far. This shows to me she's not at all interested. And the second reason is one that Ben is still in denial about. He's so happy that she finally turned up to this dinner that he said, oh, don't worry about anything that's happened in the past. Don't worry about ghosting me, blanking me, not texting me back and messing me around. Everything's fine just because you're finally here, Mahogany. But what I think he forgot to take into account was the fact that Mahogany was about 1.5 hours late. No normal human being sits in a bar for 1.5 hours. No normal human being sits in a restaurant for 1.5 hours, especially when they've not heard anything from the person they're allegedly meeting. Therefore, I think when she turned up, she gingerly clippity-clopped round the corner and she was hoping with all her might that Ben was going to be gone. Bad luck, M-Hog. Bad luck. He was sitting there like the loon he is. But yeah, she had no intention of meeting him. And reason number 3, it was the conversation. It was stilted, it was awkward, they talked about really banal things, favourite foods. And I touched on this earlier when I said I believe that she made such a big deal out of oatmeal. Oatmeal's very important to me and to the whole of my life, to all my family, to my ancestors. She was making out as if oatmeal was the elixir of life. Guys, I'm not even lying. I had to look up what oatmeal was. I thought I knew, but I thought maybe it's some other thing that I just don't know about. But no, it's snotty old porridge. I think it's bloody awful. But I don't care who you are. I don't think oatmeal can be as important as Mahogany's making out to anybody. I just don't. I didn't understand the whole conversation. I can understand if you said, I'm a vegan, tofu's important to me. It might be because it might be the only real substitute for meat that you've got. I am Japanese, sushi is important to me. I get it. But oatmeal? Oh dear, no, just no. Maybe there's something about oatmeal that I just don't get. If there is, put it in comments down below, I'd love to see. But the way she jumped on Ben and said, I don't like pizza. And then said to Ben, do you like oatmeal? No. Well, I love oatmeal. That tells me she's looking for differences. She's looking for things to say, we're not compatible. And reason number 4 is her palpable disappointment at the way Ben looks. I honestly think Ben looks as close as anyone does to modelling pictures. I think his body is pretty much the same. But she actually felt strongly enough about his lack of muscular body to actually mention it. That tells me she's very disappointed. But like I said earlier, it's the audacity for me. You look nothing like your pictures. Not your body, not your boat race, nothing. All day long, Ben looks closer to his pictures than you do to yours, Mahogany. That's a fact. And my penultimate reason for Mahogany not wanting to be with Ben is something Ben said. He said when they were on the phone, she always used to say, I love you. And now Ben said it to her, not once but twice, and she hasn't said it back. Ben, I've had a thought about this and it's way out there, but it's something worth considering. Perhaps she doesn't love you. Just maybe. That might be it. And as we all know, it's very easy to say things over the phone or texting or messaging. And honestly, guys, I think these kids don't think anything of it. I think Mahogany's kind of like a child playing real life Sims. Old people, look it up. But I honestly don't think she takes any of this seriously. And when Ben finally said, right, that's it, I'm coming out to see you, she thought, what? Oh my god, this old goat. And I do wonder how many other guys she's talking to. She doesn't really strike me as a grifter as such. But let's not forget, Ben has loaned her £1,000 already. And she was quite happy to stand him up at the airport, not once but twice. That's a certain kind of person for sure. And last but very certainly not least, there's the hug. Guys, I could virtually feel the revulsion and the cringe from Mahogany through the screen. And if you go back and watch that scene again, you can see she was trying to dip into her car real quick, wind the window down and say bye Ben and beat a hasty retreat. No such thing with Ben, he's not having it. Mahogany, can I get a hug? And she actually said, what? And he said, I want to hug you, and she said, oh yeah, okay. She was not comfortable with that hug at all. She kept moving around. At one point, she looked directly at the camera. But I have got to say, Ben, if you know someone's not really hugging you back and they don't want to hug you, let them go. Don't invade their space any more than they want you to. Guys, I think Ben is so obsessed with having a young and good-looking girl on his arm. He doesn't care what boundaries he pushes, what lies he tells, how ridiculous he makes himself look. He's so superficial that this to him is number one. So guys, let me know what you think. Were there any more signals during this meal? If I've missed anything, please put it down in comments below. And what do we think about their banal conversation and the fact that at 52 years of age, Ben actually said to Mahogany, I'm going to have to try and get into oatmeal then, if you like it. Thus proving yet again that the 13-year-old from Minnesota is alive and kicking. Oh God, and the final thing, which I almost forgot. Remember when Ben said, Mahogany, why do you love me? It's a typical, I don't know, salesy, ex-cult leader type question. Not, Mahogany, do you love me? Or Mahogany, what do you like about me? Mahogany, why do you love me? I think he's trying to get her into, you know, these affirmations. You know when people sit there and say, I'm worth it, I'm worth it. I think he's trying to get Mahogany to say, I think you're good looking, I think you have an enormous, huge heart, and whatever other toss she said, just to kind of get it into her head so she starts thinking about Ben in a good light. Ben, we see you. I tell you guys, Ben learned a lot of tricks at that cult of his. I think recruiting people to a cult or keeping people in a cult is basically elite top sales training. I really do. So yeah, tell me what you think and I will get on with my next video. Sorry it's been so long. Please don't forget to subscribe if you've yet to do so and smash the like button if you've enjoyed this video. And I'll get on with my next one. Thank you guys so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online and I bid you good day.